Hello and welcome to Tech 24 with me, Annelise Borges. Coming up, a doctor in the US has developed a handful of apps to keep an eye on his patients at all times. In today's show, we take a look into what medicine could be like in the near future. And in Test 24, we check out the HTC One Mini. Everything the HTC One has, minus the unnecessary bits. From managing asthma and measuring heart rates to scheduling lab work and ordering prescriptions, new health-related smartphone apps are already being used in the US and promise to revolutionize healthcare in a country where some medical procedures can cost thousands of US dollars. Ketivan Gorgestani has the story.
A traditional examination room, but a futuristic medical exam.
Put your fingers on that. And let's just do your cardiogram together here. 52, but the rhythm is perfect.
For this exam, the doctor just needs a sensor and a smartphone.
So the fingers on these sensors make a circuit with his heart, okay? And then that transmits wirelessly. There you go.
The exam continues to determine the oxygen level in the patient's blood. Dr. Eric Topol came up with these apps himself and believes they will change the future of medicine.
And every doctor should learn, this is the true stethoscope. And what we use today, which I don't know why I carry it anymore, this is a stetophone. It's worthless.
He says he now prescribes more smartphone apps than actual medication. That allows him to monitor his patients without even seeing them. A big plus for those like Bill Sousa, who live more than an hour's drive away from the hospital. With the help of his tablet, Sousa checks his blood pressure twice a day.
Too high. Automatically emails it to my doctor on a weekly basis. So that's all I have to do.
The device costs about €100, a great deal in the US where medical exams can cost a small fortune. Wasting less time and money, that's what this San Diego company is working on. In the future, you might be connected to this little device, which is already in use in some US hospitals.
That's able to show all of the vital signs of this patient as heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, saturation of oxygen, and skin temperature.
Information that your doctor can check in real time from anywhere in the world.
Now they get that information immediately so they can make very quick decisions. Now, eventually, we, of course, as other companies may do, is be able to take that information and be able to start to predict the patient's deterioration ahead of time.
Predicting the patient's future is the next step. Dr. Topol believes he'll be able to detect diseases with this sensor placed on our skin or in our body.
Someday, maybe 5 years from now, we will have tiny nanosensors in the blood. They could detect cancer showing up for the first time in the blood.
One day, digital diagnosis could even replace real-life doctors. Say your son has a rash. The machine identifies it and determines whether it's serious or not.
Rest at home, it's okay.
If your daughter isn't feeling well, the sensor checks for fever and tests her urine. This time, the app recommends to see a doctor right away and locates the nearest hospital.
We're building a way for people to check their bodies as often as they check their email.
It may sound like science fiction, but it could become reality in a heartbeat.
Marc Edwards joins us now. Marc, it looks like there's no turning back from the trend of apps in healthcare and personalized medicine.
You're absolutely right, Annelise, and I think that trend is only going to keep growing stronger and all the better for it. You know, there's a national campaign now in the US called 23 and Me, whereby you can buy a kit for less than €100, and that kit will tell you, analyze your DNA and be uploaded to a database, and you get all sorts of fantastic information from that. You know, it's broken down into 4 different categories: your disease risks, your traits, carrier status, and your drug response. And what you can do is, according to your DNA, you can see the percentage risk of having diabetes, of prostate cancer, of Alzheimer's, of Parkinson's. But on top of that, you can query that data and sort of analyze it and see that other people who have similar DNA to you, what kind of risks do they have at a certain age if they're older, or might they have later on?
Is there a way to make sure that the apps that people are using, though, have been quality tested?
Unfortunately, no. The simple answer right now, there isn't, because there's no stopping people from developing apps, which is a great thing on one side. But, the bottom line is, the obvious one is, if it's developed by, the Red Cross and it's had 500,000 downloads, then it's probably safe. If it's developed by a developer called, Ninja Star 69 with 10 downloads, probably don't.
All right. And do you use any apps to monitor your health, Marc?
I do have a couple. There's an allergy app called Pollen Eye, which I use because I have very bad hay fever. So it tells me on certain days how much medicine I should take and not. And there's an absolutely fantastic one, which I think is essential. I don't like to do a sales pitch here, but one called ICE, which is in case of emergency, where a first responder on a scene of an accident can know exactly different information, your personal information, and if you're allergic to anything, and your blood type and things like that, which could hopefully save lives. And I think having that on your phone is particularly important. I have a couple of other health ones which I never used that sounded great when I first got them.
Measure calories.
Exactly, all of those ones. Your stress doctor, your sleep helpers, and all of that. They're on there somewhere. Don't use them as much.
All right, thanks for that, Marc. We're going to have to move on now. It's time for Test 24. Announced a month ago, the HTC One Mini will hit the shelves in Europe in the weeks to come. With a 4.3-inch screen and a slimmer build, HTC promises the same experience, but in a more compact device. Marc, are we witnessing a new trend in the smartphone era that bigger is not always better?
I think you might be right. I certainly think we may have hit a tipping point, if you will, where a lot of the phones have got to as big as you can, hold them in your hand. The Samsung S3, a personal favourite of mine. But the key to this all is having that choice. And, this is what the HTC One Mini gives you. Do you want a smaller, more compact phone, which is easier in your hand? If you feel, one of the main things for me was how beautiful it feels in your hand.
It looks great, and it feels really nice. It's light as well.
And the point is, there are going to be people who want that 7-inch screen, who need that 7-inch screen and need the bigger phone and the more powerful processor, which the HTC One has, not the HTC One Mini. Slightly less powerful processor. But it's all about the choice.
What are the main features of this phone?
Well, as I said, for me, the design. Design, very, very important. It's beautiful. Also, the screen. I took a lovely picture of Annelise just beforehand. You can see that. Bright and bold, and Annelise is looking all right in that as well. And that's the key. Bright and bold. It's, for me, at the price which you get it at, which is retailing around 450 euros. If only they'd gone down a tiny bit, maybe 100 euros, this would be really my go-to. Unfortunately, around at a 450, you might as well get a whole host of the other normal, more powerful phones than this one.
How did you rate the HTC One Mini?
I gave the design 9 out of 10. Overall, we're giving it, as a team, 8 out of 10. We are also easy to use. It's very simple. 7 out of 10. No value for money, not great value for money. 5 out of 10. Overall, 6.6. Not best in class. Solid phone.
Thanks for that, Marc, and thank you for watching this edition of Tech 24. Don't forget, you can get in touch via Facebook or Twitter. We leave you today with pictures of something for those high flyers out there. A New Zealand company has just been given the green light to carry out manned test flights of its jetpack. If all goes to plan, Martin Aircraft, the company behind the device, is hoping to start selling its jetpacks next year. But you will need to start saving, as the price of this flying machine is estimated at between $150,000 and $250,000 US. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.